The Buffalo Bills won their third game in a row and collected their first divisional win of the season. And I'm here to talk about what matters most coming out of the win over the Patriots today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day. And as a reminder to you, we are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. It's BetOnline, and it's where the game starts. Happy Victory Friday to you. The Buffalo Bills defeated the New England Patriots 24-10 and improved to 9-3 on the season. The Bills' third win in a row. The Bills' third road win in 12 days, or their third win away from Highmark Stadium in 12 games. Their third win in a row in New England, the first team to ever win in New England 3 seasons in a row. Their third win this season on a Thursday, the first NFL team to ever win 3 games in the same season on a Thursday. Certainly feels good. The Bills had a stretch here of a lot of daunting games away from their home stadium under unusual circumstances, and they got through that stretch 3-0. It's funny how practice matters, huh? The Bills finally had a normal week to game plan, and it showed. We didn't give that enough consideration as we were frustrated over the performance of the team in recent weeks. Practicing matters. And the Bills look like a team that actually practiced this week. We're going to do our typical post-game process here. We're going to do things I like, things I didn't like. Then we'll recap my predictions and kind of set the tone for what's next. Under things that I liked, I thought the offense did some really good things on Thursday night. 9 of 15 on third down, very efficient on third down. 3 for 3 scoring touchdowns in the red zone, 100%. I think they're actually up to 6 touchdowns in their last 7 red zone possessions. They possessed the ball for 38 minutes in this ball game, and they had some big-time drives. And I'll even call their first offensive drive a big-time drive. You force a 3-and-out, you get the ball back, you go 9 plays on your first drive, you score a field goal. You stole a possession there to start the game. That's the big benefit in winning the toss and deferring. You stole the possession. Then you go 9 plays, 82 yards and a touchdown. Another touchdown drive, 14 plays, 56 yards for a touchdown. And then 15 plays, 94 yards. 8 minutes and 55 seconds off the clock to make it a 3-possession game. 4 huge offensive drives. I love that. Josh Allen had some really good moments in this game. I thought he played well. 22 of 33, 223 passing yards, 2 touchdowns passing, 106 rating. Felt like we got some real vintage Josh Allen moments here. Some moments off script. The pass to Nyheim Hines, I think that was on a third down. It went for 21 yards. The touchdown pass to Gabriel Davis was insane. Rolling right, keeping the play alive, warding off Mack Wilson, throwing a touchdown pass that really feels improbable when you look at it from some of the different angles that we've seen. Special play from a special player. I really enjoyed the timing stuff that happened with Isaiah McKenzie to convert a bunch of third downs. Some darts to Stefon Diggs, including the touchdown pass. Really good timing and execution. I love that throw to Stefon Diggs for a touchdown that got called back. Tommy Sweeney held the guy, but that was a gorgeous throw. What was that, like 60 yards in the air? Josh looked good. And he threw in pregame for like the first time in 3 games. And he practiced in full all week for the first time in like 3 games. It just feels like he's putting this elbow deal behind him. And I'm excited that there's now 10 games until the Bills, or 10 days until the Bills play another game. So I feel like Josh is kind of like settling in here. And that started to happen a bit last week against the Lions, carried over into this game, and played some really efficient football and good complementary football based on the way that the defense played as well. Bills played a good ball game on Thursday night. Stefon Diggs, I liked him. 7 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets. Did have the drop. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Patriots were content to play man coverage with Jonathan Jones against him. And Steph Diggs took him to work all night long. His 10th receiving touchdown of the season. That gives him 10, obviously, double digits. So he's the first player in team history, in Buffalo Bills team history, with multiple double-digit receiving touchdown seasons. That's crazy to me. No other player in team history had more than one double-digit touchdown receiving season. Not Andre Reed, not Eric Moulds, not Stevie Johnson, not Lee Evans, not James Lofton. Just Steph Diggs. That's crazy to me. He's one receiving touchdown away from tying the franchise single-season record of 11 held by Bucky Brooks. Feels like that's an inevitable record that he's going to break. So I like Stefon Diggs in this game. I liked Isaiah McKenzie in this game. Second game in a row that I felt was very, very strong from Isaiah McKenzie. Especially like in the first half and then the first drive of the second half, Isaiah McKenzie was key. Had 5 catches for 44 yards, but I know that's not a crazy statistical game, but I felt like there was some really clutch catches in some big moments where he got some late separation and went and made a play on the ball and did some good things for this football team. And of course, the run game. I thought this was Ken Dorsey's best job yet of being consistent with mixing in the run appropriately. And they hit some explosive runs. They converted some short yardage that didn't require Josh Allen to carry the football. It was a good game against a very, very, very good Patriots run defense. And I thought formationally they did some very good things with how they spaced the field and used some motion, particularly early in the game, to help them set up some creases and set up some good blocking angles from the offensive line. Some really good run game architecture in this one. And you could tell they went into this game and wanted to get these backs going, all 3 of them really. But like James Cook was sort of like the lead guy in this ball game. Had 20 touches, 14 carries, 64 yards, 6 catches on 6 targets, 41 yards. The guy was over 100 yards from scrimmage on 20 touches. James Cook had some really good moments in this game. I still think he's developing, right? He makes some really nice plays, and I really appreciated, in particular, the target efficiency, because I don't know that that's been there all year, but it happened in this one. Him and Josh were very much on the same page. And James took advantage of a lot of his opportunities. Now, I think he's still developing, right? And that's totally expected given the modest workload that he had at Georgia and him being a rookie. But there's still some feel that I'm looking for with him. His footing, right? Just how he kind of presses the line of scrimmage and kind of works and strings together moves between the tackles. Like I think it's a work in progress, but it's been a lot more good than bad with James Cook of late. was good to see him have this opportunity for him to take advantage of it. How about Devin Singletary? 13 rushes, 51 yards, a touchdown in this game. Thought he played well. So, look, 24 points isn't this like offensive explosion. I think they had like 350 yards, but it was a perfectly good game in terms of playing strong complementary football, converting third downs, sustaining some big time drives, punching it in the red zone all 3 times. There were some very good things that happened with this Bills offense on Thursday night. I hope you've been getting in on the action over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is my favorite daily fantasy resource. How does it work? You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. And Prize Picks has projections on any sport that you watch. So NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA, soccer, cricket, you name it, you can find it over at at Prize Picks, and entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. So download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. So if you deposit 100, Prize Picks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, Prize Picks will give you 50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match worth up to $100. I have some more things I liked to talk about in this game. You should have known that. I didn't even talk about the defense yet. I had to sneak in the ad read, though. So we'll talk about defense now. And I want to start with Tremaine Edmunds. What a nice game he had. It was tangible, the way that this defense runs with him on the field and without him on the field. And I especially loved how he played downhill against the run in this ball game. Confident, fast, physical, some really good downhill plays, and of course some good moments in coverage as well on Ramondre Stevenson, where he was sticky and Stevenson wasn't able to come up with some completions. So I thought Tremaine played well. I thought Matt Milano played well as well. Good performance from the linebackers. Great performance from the defensive ends. First game without Von Miller, who's on injured reserve, and he'll miss at least the next 3 games, right? So this counts as one of the 4 he has to miss. But I thought these guys played great, especially Gregory Rousseau. What a player, right? He's been so good this year, and I thought he played really well on Thursday night against the Patriots. Played the run well. He had the pass breakup, which was a crazy play. Like, that's length, right? That's just so much for a quarterback to have to throw around when Greg Rousseau's on the field. I mean, he deflected that pass by sticking his arm out literally just like straight from his shoulder. Normally you have to put your hands up to bat a pass down. He just stuck it out like straight out horizontal. It was a good play. Had some good pressure in the game as well. Really, really pleased with him. Shaq Lawson. I love what's going on with Shaq Lawson right now. This guy's playing so good. Such a fundamentally sound player. I appreciate his game so much. He's playing with energy. He plays the run. He had a good pressure in this game. Thought Shaq Lawson played really, really well. And if I'm not mistaken, he started opposite of Rousseau, and he deserved it. He has really solidified himself. When they're all healthy, I think he's the 3rd best defensive end the Bills have. A.J. Epinesa played well in this ball game. Had a sack, consistent pressure, 2 tackles for loss. It's good to see him back out there and stepping in as the 3rd defensive end behind 2 former Bills first-round picks, right? Greg Rousseau and Shaq Lawson. Even Boogie Basham had a couple of good moments. And while the defensive I'll say this, the defensive tackles played well in this game. Maybe they didn't have the notable splash plays like maybe they did the last 2 weeks where I really hyped them up, but they controlled the line of scrimmage extremely well. They're a big reason why the Patriots had 14 carries for 60 yards. Really good job by the front 7 in general. How about Jordan Poyer? His impact, once again, I don't know how he's playing with his elbow deal, but he is making an impact. He had the big tackle for loss on Ramondre Stevenson. The pass breakup that was a near interception. Felt his presence in the ball game. I like seeing Trey White out there for what felt like, about 3 quarters? And I know that we're never going to, love Trey White and him having to make tackles, but I really like seeing him make tackles. I thought that was like a part of his game coming out of the injury that was something that he would need to do, right? Just do it, tackle somebody. And he did it. I think he had 4 or 5 tackles in the ball game. Was fine in coverage. Stayed leveraged. Taron Johnson had a couple of pass breakups. I love that. And I guess I just love that we didn't see those crappy moments from the Bills DBs not making plays on the ball in the air or losing leverage and getting their face crossed and conceding in-breaking routes like we have in the past few weeks. That the Bills' defensive backfield, their back 7 in coverage, played a lot better than what we've seen against the Lions or the Browns or the Vikings or the Jets. It was a much better look for this secondary, this back 7 in general. Speaking of in general, I mean, the defense in general, you limit a team to 10 points. You limit a team to 242 yards. They get to the red zone 1 time. They don't score a touchdown. 3 of 12 on 3rd down. 4 3-and-outs in the first half. I mean, the Patriots had 9 drives in this ball game. 6 punts. So 6 punts on 9 drives. 4 of those 6 punts being 3-and-outs. And then their other drives are a missed field goal, a field goal, and that weird touchdown. Kind of a broken... Well, look, it was a good play by them. We'll talk about it in a minute, but a fluky touchdown, let's be honest, right? That's all you gave up. Great day for the defense. And, of course, I got to shout out Tyler Bass. He was perfect. Made his lone field goal from 48 yards. And, look, I mean, outdoors, cold, put it through the pipes. And then, of course, 3 of 3 on extra points. So he made like 104 in a row. He missed the extra point against Detroit that I think contributed to the Bills actually winning the game. We talked about this. Now he's back on a little streak here. 3 for 3 on extra points on Thursday night against the Patriots. All right, so let's get into some things that I didn't like from this ball game. There were some offensive sequences that I really hated. And you probably felt the same way that I did, in that the Bills are up 17-3 and or 4. I'm fumbling over this. They were up by 2 possessions. And it felt like they had so many different opportunities to make it a 3-possession game. They had 3 different chances to go up 3 scores, and I was waiting for it. I wanted that 3-score lead so bad. Because with a 2-score lead, you felt like the Patriots could still kind of stay in their game plan. With a 3-score lead, now it becomes, Mac Jones, you got to do it. And Mac Jones can't do it. He's proven that time and time again. He's not the guy that can carry a team. He's not the guy that can bring a team back. He's not that guy. So I wanted that 3-possession lead. Turns out 2 possessions was fine, but I wanted 3. So they had all these chances to do it. They finally did it, but 3 chances to do it. And the first chance was a 3-and-out. And I didn't love that sequence at all. It was a play-action pass on 1st down where Josh damn near threw an interception. Felt like a predetermined play. Or maybe he just missed the coverage rotation or something. I'll have to watch the all 22, but he hit his back foot and just ripped it. And you see Josh hit his back foot and throw the football, that's a completion, right? Not a throw into double coverage where it nearly gets picked off by 2 people. Then the next play is the draw play, QB draw play that went nowhere. And then the 3rd down play, which it was 3rd and 10, right? Josh, he buys a whole bunch of time. He must have held on to the ball for 5-6 seconds and just launches it down the field to Stefon Diggs, who's just there's bodies everywhere. It's like a Hail Mary play on a 3rd and 10. And it's like, man, you made him cover for that long and that was the best throw you had? So I hated that sequence. They wound up going 3 and out, their first chance to go up 3 possessions. Then the second time that they had a chance to go up 3 possession was on the Josh Allen fumble. I put that on David Quessenberry. He whiffed on the block. He got dusted. Josh Uche just was explosive and had crazy bend and hit the ghost rush and ran a circle around Quessenberry, who's trying to two-hand punch. You don't two-hand punch in the NFL and whiff. Squandered an opportunity to go up 3 possessions. And then the last opportunity they had to go up 3 possessions was the opening drive of the third quarter. And this was a very annoying sequence to me. You wind up moving the ball really, really well. Your first play of the second half is a 4-yard run with Devin Singletary. Then you complete consecutive passes to Isaiah McKenzie, 13 yards, 17 yards. It's 1st and 10 from the New England 41. You're in business, right? So then you throw an incomplete pass to Devin Singletary. So now it's 2nd down. And you get a nice play on 2nd down, but it's called back due to Gabriel Davis blocking in the back. So now it's 2nd and 18. Josh Allen scrambles for 7 yards. So you get down to 3rd and 11. And Josh Allen hit Stefon Diggs on 3rd and 11 for what should have been a first down, but he dropped the football. And now you're punting. You're punting from the New England 42, and it results in a touchback, and you wind up having a 22-yard net punt. It was a gross sequence. The fact that you moved the ball, and then there was a force field, right, about at the 42-yard line. You couldn't get past it. A stupid penalty, and then a drop, and then a bad punt. That was not my favorite moment of the game, needless to say. Obviously did not like what happened in Deion Dawkins' absence. David Quessenberry struggled the entire game. And then even Bobby Hart, when he had to play left tackle for a few plays, I mean, he was awful. And for David Quessenberry, I know it's a tough ask, right? First of all, it felt like almost immediately his ankle was bothering him, and he was having to deal with that throughout the entire game. And that's tough, right? You're a backup player, and now you're having to play with a bum ankle against the certainly one of the best 3 pass rush teams in the NFL. We talked about it all week long. Number 2 in pressure rate, number 2 in sack rate. It's a tough ask for him, and it's especially to have to do it on a bum ankle. But obviously his poor performance hurt the team. And I know that Bobby Hart doesn't have a lot of fans out there, but he has been terrific for the Bills as a utility blocker, as kind of a jumbo tight end. He's done a very good job in that role, particularly as a run blocker. But all this to say, get well soon, Deion Dawkins. Needs you against the Jets. I told you Josh Uche was good, guys. I knew everybody was talking about Matthew Judon and Dietrich Wise, but the whole time I'm like, man, this Josh Uche is the explosive, bendy one. That was probably the most concerning player. He had 2 sacks. He's good. Like I said, I think I don't remember what podcast it was this week, but when they get Uche and Wise and Matthew Judon and Christian Barmore, that's going to be a really nice group of rushers if they get those 4 guys going. Did not like the Patriots touchdown to Marcus Jones. So that was the first offensive snap of the year for Marcus Jones. And you guys heard me talk about this guy as an electric return guy. Won the Jets game for him with the punt return. That's the first time all year he's on the field for an offensive play. So he's on the field, number one. Sirens should go off. There should be red flags. Everybody should be like, oh my God, that's Marcus Jones. He's on the field for a reason here. But then you also had a blitz dialed up to his side. You got to call a timeout. You got to get out of that somehow. That's a very worthy moment to call a timeout and say, well, okay, let's talk about this. Marcus Jones hasn't been on the field all year long for an offensive play. We have a blitz dialed up to that side. Somebody's got to call a timeout, and you got to figure that out. I know hindsight's 20/20, but in that moment, they should have recognized him being on the field and recognized that they had a blitz call to that side. So now you had a situation where Xavier Rhodes has to take on a block and DeMar Hamlin has to fill from depth against Marcus Jones. And that fill from DeMar Hamlin was disgusting. He wasn't the outside player there. He didn't have the outside contained. That was on Rhodes. I have no idea what possessed him to take that angle. Didn't like that. Dawson Knox didn't like one target, right? So he gets one opportunity to catch a football and he falls all over himself trying to catch it. He drops the ball. But just one target in the game. I'm sure some of that has to do with him needing to stay in to block because you're trying to make do with this left tackle situation. But at some, I mean, you've committed $14 million a year to this tight end. And I don't need him to go out and catch 7, 8, 9, 10 passes every week, but you have to have more of an impact in the passing game than one target. I'm not sure how much that's on Dawson, but the one chance that he did have to catch a football, he looked horrible. Didn't love that Kyer Elam was inactive in this game. And Jay Skursky reported that it wasn't illness or injury related. And then after the game, Coach McDermott commented and said that they wanted to see what they had in Xavier Rhodes, and also referenced Tre'Davious White kind of ramping up in his playing time. Okay. You want to see what you had in Xavier Rhodes. That's interesting. And it kind of fuels a thought that I've had for a while, that I know that this team wants to rely less on rookies, right? You can kind of see that with a lot of moves that they've made. But man, I feel like Kyer Elam has done nothing to not deserve the opportunity to play. I think he's been good all year. And so now he's healthy and active. I don't love that, especially late in that game. Late in that game, it's Dane Jackson and Xavier Rhodes on the field in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, this would be a great chance for Kyer Elam to be out there and get reps. But they want to see what they had in Xavier Rhodes? Okay. And then the last thing that I'll say, and it's a minor gripe, but the Bills missed some sacks. I love sacks. Outside of touchdowns, sacks are my favorite place. And so to see Mac Jones squirm out of some sacks, that annoyed me a little bit. So I want to see him down on the ground, and the Bills whiffed on some sack opportunities that they had. This episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible is releasing a slate of new football podcasts that we're sure you're going to love. Find Think Like a Champion now wherever you get your podcasts. Think Like a Champion is a brand new podcast from Russell Wilson and Audible. Russ is a champion on the field, but off of it, we rarely know the grind on the path to greatness. Russell Wilson, alongside co-host Harry Wilson and the late Trevor Moawad, digs into how high performance athletes, artists, and leaders push the boundaries of their potential. You can hear from two-time Super Bowl champion and MVP Von Miller deliver sharp insights about performing at your highest level in moments of extreme pressure, or even NCAA champion Tim Tebow discussing how to find your unique personal mission in the world. You can head on over to Locked On Presents for a sneak peek of Think Like a Champion, or catch the full series available anywhere you get your podcast, available everywhere right now. Audible, get in the game. All right, so let's take a look at my predictions and see how I did. We'll talk a little bit about the weekend ahead in the world of the NFL, and just some quick ideas for next week as well. So 5 predictions. I always like to be accountable to my predictions, and let's see how I did. My first one was whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game. I was wrong. The Bills lost the turnover battle 1-0, and they won the game. So we didn't get that correct. Number 2, I said that a linebacker or a defensive back would have a sack for the Bills. That did not happen. The only sack was by AJ Epinesa. So my thought process here was, and of course, if you listen to our preview podcast, you know that I brought up a lot of information about Mac Jones struggling under pressure and struggling against the blitz. And obviously, Leslie Frazier was well aware of those numbers. And so he started blitzing a lot early, kind of got the Bills into some trouble. And obviously, the Patriots were aware that there was a good chance that the Bills would kind of come in with a blitz-heavy game plan and had a lot of answers built in for Mac Jones. And so there were some chances early, but it wound up costing the Bills more than anything when they blitz. So anyways, bottom line, a linebacker or defensive back did not get a sack for the Bills. I was wrong about that. I said that there would be multiple offensive touches for Nyheim Hines. That did happen. For the first time all season, he touched the ball more than once on offense. He had 3 touches, including the 21-yard reception. I predicted that, so I got that right. I predicted that John Brown would be active for the game. That happened. He didn't have a target. I know he was on the field for at least one play, but the bottom line was I figured he would be active. They only had 4 receivers and thought there was a reasonable path for him to get on the field. That did happen, so I got that right. And I also predicted that the Bills would win the game, and that happened. So I got 3 out of 5 predictions correct. The Bills are 9-3. Temporarily, they're in first place of the AFC East. It's not really anything to care about because the rest of the division hasn't played. The Dolphins play the 49ers in San Francisco, and they're 8-3. If they win that game, they'll be right back in first place. Big game out there. It's the first of 3 road games for the Miami Dolphins right now. So they go at San Francisco, at the Chargers, and then at the Bills. That's their next 3 games. Big stretch for them. The Jets, they're 7-4, obviously. They play at the Vikings on Sunday. So tough game for them as well. And, of course, the Patriots are 6-6 after losing to the Bills. Another game to be mindful of in the AFC this weekend is Chiefs at Bengals. Bengals have won the last 2 against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have, they got a good record. They're, what are they, 9-2? But, they've played a lot of really tight games. And the Bengals have been playing some pretty good football lately. They're going to get Jamar Chase back. So could be a Bengals dub here on Sunday. So that's something to pay attention to. So obviously from a Bills rooting interest, it's go 49ers, go Vikings, and go Bengals this weekend. Next for the Bills is, of course, the mini bye week, and Sean McDermott's giving the players the next 3 days off before they face the Jets in Orchard Park. So a home game. The Bills are back-to-back home. The Jets in the next game, and the following week is Miami on a game that could be played on Saturday or Sunday. Now, keeping in mind for the Dolphins, the game before that for them is now been flexed into Sunday Night Football. They play Sunday Night Football in L.A., and so they're going to come back to Miami, obviously, and then go to Buffalo, which could be on Saturday. And that would be a benefit to the Bills if that were the case. Also notable this weekend, Odell Beckham Jr. is having his visit with the Bills. There was some questions asked to Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen during their post-game press conferences about it. They were kind of smirky, but didn't offer anything. But, look, the opportunity for the Bills to meet with Odell Beckham Jr. is this weekend. And obviously we'll be paying attention to that. And if the Bills sign Odell Beckham Jr., we'll have a big old conversation about that when it happens. So next week on the podcast, we do kind of have that floating show, right? Because the Bills have like an extended break. And so we stay in our rhythm, but we also have an open show. So I'll be thinking about the best way that I can utilize that time. Maybe do something creative or, get out of our structure a little bit and talk about the Bills or something AFC related with that opportunity that we have. So come on back. Make sure you don't miss anything. We'll be talking Bills all week long next week for you. So make sure that you're subscribed. We'd love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great weekend. And I look forward to catching up with you again on Monday.